Now, I'm looking at the teacher evaluations, and we're going to do 50%. That's what the governor proposes, that's going to be the judge of whether a teacher is proficient or not. How are we judging, right, or is this fair to teachers that are teaching kids with disabilities, kids as English as a second language, an art teacher, a math teacher? How are you going to grade them under the governor's rubric here?
I just want to make sure I heard you. You want to know how would we judge progress of English language learning students and of special education students?
Yeah, well, do you think this is a fair way to judge all teachers, especially when you have specialty fields like such as, you know, special education teachers, English as a second language teachers, gym teachers? I mean, does this look like a proper way to you to actually grade teachers' performance?
Yes, so I believe that we know from research that there are multiple measures when looking at all students, not just English language learners and special education students, but all of our students in public schools. I believe that we can come up with a growth measure based upon multiple pieces of data that we have on these students to show that students are growing. I do not believe that you should look at absolute proficiency data for these students, whether or not they passed the state test or met the standard on the state test. I think we should constantly be moving toward those students meeting the state standards, but I think we should measure that they are growing. If they sit in our classrooms every day, English language learners, special education students, and all other students should show growth, and there are ways to measure that.
But that's not what the governor is looking at now. He's doing it on testing, correct?
The test right now?
Yes, testing. He wants children to be tested. And you don't think that's a fair way to judge teachers?
I don't believe that one test is an accurate measure of a student's learning.
Okay. And when we're going to put it 50% of the teachers' evaluation is going to be on testing, then what we're going to have is we're going to have teachers teaching to the test. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I believe so, but I think that you can create better assessments that really show mastery of student learning. We do not want schools that are not vibrant learning experiences for students. We want them to learn in a joyful environment, and certainly if we are teaching to test, we won't have the kinds of schools that we desire and that our students deserve.
Yeah, and that's what I'm asking, because I think we're going in the wrong direction when it comes to testing. The other thing is the cities. How much of your budget is actually coming from the cities that you're in? So your school budget?
80% for Rochester.
80%?
For Yonkers, it's about 50%.
50?
Yeah, I believe so.
And 16%.
For your state. You want
Oh,
your
the
state.
state. I thought you said the city. I'm sorry.
No, how much from the city?
60.
From the city.
From your city, Rochester,
city.
Syracuse?
That's from the city, it's around 15%.
15? 1.5?
Yeah, 1.5.
1.6.
1.6?
Okay, we're actually at about 45% from the city.
From the city?
And Buffalo's about 8.
Okay. There was a newspaper article, and one of the things, like in the rural areas, in the suburbs, what happened is we've actually invested in our children. And how we've invested in our children is we charge a school property tax. Okay? So, for instance, on my house, you know, I'm paying about $8,000 in taxes. Okay? But the cities don't pay a property tax when it comes to school. Now, I hear every year about the trailers, the overcrowding, the buildings are falling apart and everything else. And like I looked in an area where I used to live in Queens, right, that the house was $2.5 million. And their property taxes were under $4,000, all right? Where if we had to pay that on Long Island, forget it, all right? So my question is, wouldn't it be better is if we authorized cities to charge up to a 1% property tax designated just for schools. Would that help with alleviate a lot of the problems that you have as far as being able to pay teachers, being able to fix your schools and everything else?
Well, let me just say, when I had my conversation with the mayor of Yonkers, he clearly made me understand that Yonkers is at its constitutional limit for taxing. So we can't really look to the city anymore for any more help because they're at their constitutional limit.
Right. Well, what this would do is set aside a property tax or authorize to set aside up to a 1% property tax, okay, that's designated just to schools. Would that help you out of a lot of your burdens?
Any additional resources would help.
And it would give your communities an opportunity to invest in your children, where they're not afforded the same ability as we are in the suburbs. Right? Okay.
I guess are you asking about the maintenance of effort requirement under the current authorization or an increase in local taxation?
No, I actually put in a bill that would allow the cities to be able to charge up to a 1% sales tax that would be
Sales tax.
designated to the schools. Okay, that's being introduced. And I'm going to be talking to a lot of members about it. But, you know, it just doesn't seem, you know, in the suburbs and the rural areas, we've made investments in our children. We've made investment in our children's education, and we're not allowing the city to do the same thing. So when you have a property that's a two-family house with a garage that's worth $2.5 million, okay, and the property tax there in the city is under $4,000, as where if I can have a little ranch on Long Island and I'm paying $8,000 to $10,000 because we've invested in our children. So, you know, it's just something, because every year all I hear is the trailers, the schools are falling apart, we can't afford to pay teachers, all right? We're in the same rut. So all I'm asking is that would be something that would help you get out of your rut, a 1%. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.